In this video, we're going to discuss sidechain compression. I've made a video on this in the past. Accidentally, I took the video down, so I have to recreate the video, and that's okay. It allows me to update that information. Another thing, for this particular video, we're going to be using Pro Tools first. Reason, I'm always getting those messages, hey, I don't have Pro Tools. How can I do that in my DAW? Can you send me a copy of your Pro Tools? A lot of people don't realize that Pro Tools first is out. It's a completely free version of Pro Tools. So all you have to do is download Pro Tools first and follow along. So here's something that a lot of you might be familiar with. You have a bass, you have your kick. They're both nice and round, and they can't live in the same place. One of them has to win. So what do? You sidechain. The compressor on the bass has a key input to the kick. So every time the kick comes in, guess what happens? The compressor kicks in and it ducks the bass. So the kick wins. Sometimes you hear it, sometimes you don't. It depends on how subtle you are. But if you ever heard like a house song and the song is pumping, that's what they're doing. They're sidechaining, and the effect is pretty cool. But in this video, I'm not going to show you that. So let's say you had a compressor just like this. Very simple compressor, has a gain, has peak reduction, nothing else. You don't have no ratio, no threshold. You can't control any of those options. All you could do is either you drive the signal to it and the compressor does its thing, or you start messing with the peak reduction. You might find yourself in this situation where a compressor is not fast enough to grab that transient. And that's what I want to show you today, how to deal with that issue. You have a certain compressor on a vocal and it's just not grabbing those transients enough. You don't have the option to tweak the compressor. Let's close this and let me show you how to deal with this issue. So let's say you had a compressor on this track, and like I said before, the compressor is not grabbing the transients the way you want the compressor to grab those transients. What I would do, I would duplicate the track, put the duplicate on top. Every time I duplicate a track, for some reason, I like to put the duplicate on top of the original one. Now that that's done, I'm gonna go over to the mixer window, I'm gonna create a bus 1, and Pro Tools first, you can rename your buses. You want to put that in Unity, pre, and now you want to go back to your main window, open your mixer, go to the key input, set it to bus 1. As you can see, I've already did that, and make sure the sidechain is on. If the sidechain is off, it's not going to work. So now that the sidechain is on, now it's going to work. So you might have already guessed it. Instead of using another sound to control the compressor, I'm using the exact same sound. But here's the difference. I'm going to nudge the sound a little forward in time. That way we can control how fast the compressor is. So if we nudge it just a little bit, the compressor is going to be triggered by this duplicate track that's ahead of time. If I move it just right, it's going to compress those transients right on. So the nudge track in Pro Tools, you come to the nudge functions, you set your values, and then you use the minus and plus keys on your keyboard. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure I set it on slip and I zoom in to the track and check it out. This is the duplicate track, and as you can see, I moved it up just a little bit, and that's what triggers the compressor. Another thing that's very important, we don't need to hear the output of the duplicate track. So you want to make sure you set it to a random bus. So as you can see, I set it to bus 18. So I'm going to put the compressor on bypass, and I'm going to just play for you guys what I got here. Check it out. So now I'm going to turn on the compressor, and remember the compressor is being controlled by the duplicate track. So as the track is playing, take a look at the gain reduction. Pretty nice. As you can see, the compressor is compressing pretty fast. So the next thing I would like to do, I would like to disable sidechain compression, and I would love to see the differences. So when the sidechain functionality is on, you notice how fast the compressor is grabbing those transients. And when it's off, it's not really grabbing them as fast. And of course, you could sit here and mess with some of these options and it'll help you. But if you have a compressor that doesn't have any of those options, and you have a compressor that has a key input, you can do this.